I have a big cheesy grin on because it's Wednesday. So Karen, our sales director, we created a leadership course together. She's one of my really good friends, and she put a post one day, are you winning on Wednesday, whining on Wednesday, WHINE, or whining on Wednesday? Today we are whining on Wednesday because I'm tired and I'm losing my voice from all the speaking. And so I just made a terrible decision and I picked up some wine instead of what I probably should be having, green tea, and then I am done for the day. But today I want to spend some time chatting about unsupportive spouses. So I have a cool group that I'm doing in the recruiting course I teach, and there's just this super cute couple. And they did their intro video yesterday a bit late, and the husband said, I'm one of the few husbands that really pushed my wife to do this network marketing business. And that stuck out in my head, and I thought, well, gosh, I think it would be a good idea for me to address this a little bit, because I think that unsupportive spouses often get a bad rap. Now, I'm not a marriage counselor, just a sales coach, business coach, I am pretty good at seeing patterns throughout different types of behavior. And so while certainly there are spouses that are not cool, I think there is another side to this and a different problem that we need to look at. Are all unsupported spouses, or are they protective angels? And here's what I mean. When we look at the outside, when there tends to be the lack of support there, and we start to ask a few more questions, we may see things from the spouse's side. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint an alternative picture. I'm not saying it's right or it's correct in every situation, but I just want to give you a little bit of outside perspective, and then I'm going to teach you how to create buy-in for members of your family, for them to support you in your business. And so I guess this is part number one. I'll change the thing earlier. My client said I needed to start doing outlines for life. So this will be, I guess, the first time I give you an outline for life on how to create buy-in with members of your family for you to be able to work more in your business. So if you have buy-in issues with your people that you know, or situations or whatnot that you would like a little bit of help on, feel free to comment. Now if you comment, it's probably going to show up in your Facebook feed, so just be smart there. But I want to give you a little bit of a different perspective. So this is part of a bigger question: how do I get buy-in from my family? So if you were to take a step back and look at some network marketing behavior, not all network marketing behavior, I think we can all agree, and you guys can comment if you agree on this, sometimes it could appear a little bit like a cult. And I think that triggers a lot of protective family behavior. And so here are some things just to look at that someone might be doubting. Well, was the person I love sold a dream that is not realistic? And maybe it's not realistic because the whole industry is not realistic. Maybe it's not realistic because we don't have the time. Maybe it's not realistic because this person may not have the skills to do it. Could be unrealistic for a lot of different reasons. I have heard spouses say things like, well, obviously that way you'll just buy more product. And I was like, that is an interesting perspective, because I think it could look like that to people. Maybe the spouse is treating it like, acts as if it's a hobby, but says it's a business, but acts like it's a hobby. And now it's turned into a very, very expensive hobby. And so then that stops making sense. See the realistic thing. Maybe there's past baggage or past experience that is coming in. Maybe that individual had high hopes for some business. Maybe they had a family member that had high hopes for a business and it didn't work out. Maybe the person, right, that's saying they have an unsupportive spouse has jumped around from thing to thing to thing over time and hasn't stuck with things. And while this person might be serious, the network marketer might be serious in this case, maybe the family member isn't really, they're not sure, right? They just want to be protective. And so I will just assert a different view of the unsupportive spouse as maybe a protector, trying to protect someone they love from getting hurt or getting disappointed. And I think if we look at things from that perspective, it's a lot easier to know what it is that we need to do. For those of you that are on live, hi, I see you. I'm just trying not to break up the video too much. So make sure you say hi as you are hopping on. And if you have any comments about anything, then feel free to drop them there so we can make sure that we respond to them here at the end. So here's what I want to ask you. A lot of the people that we work with here, they're parents of some sort. I wish we had more young people. I'm a big fan of young people selling, as that's when I learned how to sell when I was 20. But think about this for a second. So would you pay for your kids lessons? So Charlie took the kids to karate. There was a time where Haley was being a stinker. I know that's like every day, but she didn't want to go to class. Well, we were like, okay, fine, don't go to class, but we're not paying for this anymore, right? Would you pay for a class like karate lessons where your kid didn't attend? Would you feel good about your spouse buying designer sunglasses and then treating him like a slinky? Would you be okay with this type of behavior, right? Like if we're sending our kids to private school, we're going to be even more invested in their outcomes. And if they're not taking school seriously, it's different, right? If they're just playing sports at the park versus you're having them play club, that's going to be different. And so I just want you to consider maybe a different thought process that maybe it's not making so much sense. And so here are a few things that I want you to think about. And if this isn't you, just help coach some of your team members that might be running into this situation. We have to create buy-in for our family members. And so this comes, our spouses, our kids, our support system. Maybe it's our mom who needs to babysit or whatever. And so we need to create buy-in. So we want to set realistic. So the first thing we want to start with is, how does this help them? So we know that you love your business and you're excited about this, but really take a step back and say, okay, well, if I'm going to devote my time to my business and our financial resources into whatever things I need in order to be successful, how does this benefit my spouse? How does this benefit my kids? And really start to make a long list from their perspective. Then when you're communicating, set realistic goals, commitments, and outcomes. And here's where I'm going to be really mean. Meet them. Right? Like take them seriously. And I think it's also really important in this whole conversation, especially with spouses, is to take your business seriously. Don't pretend, don't call it a business and then act like it's a hobby. Do you carry a profit and loss? All businesses, legitimate businesses, need to look at their profit and loss. And if they're not looking at their profit and loss, then are they really serious about their business? And so if you or a team member that is struggling with this, with maybe some unsupportive family members, encourage them to carry a profit and loss. Encourage them to increase their skill level. Encourage them to really be serious about guarding their time. And so what I mean by that is, okay, so Charlie has a blog. It's called Charlie's Dad Life. And since he has now been working from home, he's been able to contribute a lot more. But there was a space when I was super sick, he had to take care of things even more so around the house with the kids. He was working and he wasn't contributing to the blog. And so then I started to be like, why are we paying for this website? Why are we paying for this tech if you're not doing it, right? Like what I wanted to see as a spouse, not because I'm a jerk, or maybe I am, I don't know. I guess Charlie can chime in on this if he wants, but I just wanted to know, are you serious about it? If you say, I don't have time, if it, Charlie's situation, if he says, I don't have time to do my blog, but he's playing video games all the time, which isn't the case, but if that were the case, then I might be a little bit more negative toward the blog because you're not taking it seriously. Now, however, if he's like, this is it, my blog, I'm going to write 1 to 2 things per week, and once I get consistent, I'm going to look into this to be able to improve it or whatever, I would be so much more excited about, hey, kids, like, let's go play for a little bit. Dad's going to go work on his blog. And so I think it's important to really look at, if you're having this challenge, maybe it is, there's some deeper issues that we can't address. However, maybe it is the seriousness in which you're looking at things. So here's where outlines for life come in. So outlines for life, I'm just going to give you guys a string of questions you can ask, or a string of statements where you can use these to gain buy-in. And so this is going to be for maybe a spouse, or maybe a family member, maybe your kids, maybe your mom who needs to babysit, or just whoever you need to get into your support system. So here we go. So let's say you're currently working your network marketing business about 10 hours a week, but you think it will be a good idea to push for your next rank by your convention, which means you're going to have to work twice as much. What that means is you're going to need to get buy-in from your family instead of just starting to work and them not understanding it. So here's how you go about doing this. So you start off with, all right, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Now hear me out for just a moment. All right? I'm thinking about making a push, which would require me to work a little bit more. Okay, double. But here's why. If I can get this, rank by convention, this would increase our family's income by $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Honey, kids, whatever. Why do you think it's important that we have that extra income per month? Or maybe it's, I want to reach this goal because I've been working really hard and I just need to know that I can accomplish my dreams. It's a little bit more vague, right? But then you can ask the same question. Why do you think it's important that I'm able to set a goal and achieve it? And your spouse or your family, they might say something like, well, I think that's important because it's a great role model for others. Okay. Now, if I were to work 20 hours or so, what concerns would you have? And let them list all their concerns proactively. Create a space for that, because what happens is if you're going to go from 10 to 20 hours a week, then all of a sudden it's going to come to head one day and it's going to be really, really frustrating. So have this collaborative conversation with, if I were to double my hours from 10 to 20, what concerns would you have? Well, the concerns would be, who would do this, who would do this, who would do this, how do we do this, how do we go about this, right? How would this work? Would this happen? And then just make a list of those concerns and let's make sure we actually address them. And so then I would follow up with an if-then statement. If we ... right? Or if we made up a solution, we're able to figure out solutions to most of this, then would you be on board with me doubling the amount of hours I work on my business? Or would you be on board with me pursuing this goal even if it took more time out for our family? And that's how you would create buy-in. So there's first shot at outlines for life.